Hello everyone, my name is Kritiksha and student ID is 776466349. Today I will be presenting my project titled Prediction UK House Pricing using Machine Learning Techniques. This topic is extremely relevant, especially with how unpredictable and religion varies the UK house prediction market has become. Now let's start with the topic. It is what is important in it. If you live in the UK, you already know how confusing the house market can be. Pricing go up in some area, fall in others, and pattern change every year. In the introduction sections of my poster, you can see that the average UK house price is now around the 2,000 and 73,000 pounds. But what more interesting in the religion difference, places like the Northeast and the Northern Ireland are growing quickly, while London is actually seeing a drop in a price. The unseen patterns is extremely why the market felt unpredictable. And because everything is changing so differently across region, I want to explore whether machine learning could help us understanding this pattern better and make more reliable prediction. Moving to the national, how price does not depend on just one thing. They depend on the property type, the location, interest rate, and even the bigger economic conditions. It's too complex for the simple formula. That's why machine learning is useful here. It can look at all these factors together and pick up the pattern that are not obvious. So the idea is to build a model that can support buyers, investors, and even policymakers by giving them clean insights into where the market is heading. The project is very straightforward. I want to build a machine learning model that predict UK house price as accurate as possible. To do that, I set a few key point objectives. First, I analyze UK housing and economic data. Then I introduce the main factor that influence price. Next, I clean and prepare the data because if the data is not clean, the model could not work properly. After that, I trained different models, things like the linear regression, random forest, and XGBoost. Each one have a strange, so comparing them helped me find the best one. And finally, I study features important, basically checking where variables have the strongest effect on price. Understanding the figures now, let me quickly talk through the visualizations. The first figure shows the history and price from 1980 to 2050. It have a clear upward trends, meaning that even though there are a small dips, price normally rise in a long run. The second figure is the map in the middle. It shows how price grow in a different across region. Some area light up with the high growth where others bravely move. These pictures perfectly explain why prediction is changing. And the third one on the left shows price trending from 2000 to 2024. You can see this is a long-term rise. All these three visuals support the idea that market grow overall but behave differently in each region. Methodology. This project used quantitative and machine learning approaches. For data, I am using public and reliable source, land register price trade data, the UK house price index, ONS social economic indicators, and economic factor like interest rates. After collecting the data, the next step is cleaning it. That means migrating everything, removing errors, and convert things like property type into a format that model can understand. I'm also creating extra features, for example, the age of property, because this kind of a detail can improve predictions. Then I train the model, linear regression for simplicity, random forest for handling complex relation, and XGBoost from the song performance. To compare that, I use methods like RMSE, MAE, and R square. And I use cross validation to avoid overlifting, basically making sure the model learn properly instead of memorizing. Even though it is not a personal data, ethics still matter. All the dataset are the public and contain property details but no personal information, so privacy is not an issue. But fairness does matter. Machine learning models can sometimes repeat bias that already exist in a data. To avoid that, I am not using any sensitive information. I check for the bias during the modeling. I'm also focusing on the transparency. Some models can be feel like a black box. So I am explain that clearly using tools like features important plots and compare them with the simply and more understandable models. And finally, the results should be used not to disadvantage any area or community. There are a few risks with the projects, and I include how I plan to handle them. First, data can be sometimes be incomplete. To fix that, I clear it carefully and cross-check it with ONS sources. Second, the price paid dataset does not include everything. For example, it does not tell us the condition of house. To reduce this gap, I include more economic inductors and engineer helpful features. Another risk is bias. When I mentioned earlier, fairness check will help predict that. Overlifting is also a common issue in machine learning. Using cross validation and regulations will help avoid it. And finally, law interpretations. To balance this, I combined powerful model with visual explanation so the results stay understandable. To finish off, this project aims to bring together different sources of UK housing and economic data and use machine learning to predict house price more accurately. With careful model, fairness check, and clean, and the project can give useful insight into what really drives UK house price. Thank you for so much for this.